I'm sorry, darling, but this is goodbye. You're simply not the same ad platform that I knew all those years ago back in Montenegro. Your ROAS has dipped, your CPMs are no longer juicy enough to make my pants crumble, and unfortunately, I've made my decision. I'm going back to my ex, and while she may have thrown me out of the house a few times, she's consistent, reliable, American, and she doesn't eat up my creatives for breakfast. So this is it. You can keep doing your little dances for other people, but I will take no more. Our paths will cross once again. Toodaloo.
A few moments later.
Who knew breaking up with TikTok would be so hard? But anyways, today we're going to be talking about Facebook testing strategies, and specifically the one I've been using with all of our e-commerce brand clients to scale them to 6- and 7-figure months. Now, the main thing you're going to find out from this video is that we go incredibly broad with our methodology, and I'm going to explain the whole thought process behind it and how you can successfully test any product that you are right now running for your brand. But the reality is now TikTok is starting to raise in CPMs.
Oh, give me money.
And with Facebook, there are ways to lower your CPMs and still reach really high quality audiences at a fraction of the price. So that's why I decided to go broader with my Facebook audiences, where I'm not really doing interest targeting really anymore. I'm going fully broad, but there is a way that I am narrowing down and finding my perfect target audience without using the actual audience testing. So let's set up a new campaign and I'll tell you exactly what I mean. So I'm always going to do the sales objective. I don't care about views. I don't care about ad cards, because last time I checked, I can't add those to my bank account. So once we do the sales objective, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to do an advanced campaign budget. I like to do CBO when I first start so that all these audiences earn their money. So I usually am going to do at least $50 a day. It's really whatever budget you're comfortable with spending for a few days. So let's say, for instance, your budget for testing is $200. Then I would say around 30 to 50 is fine, because you have to keep in mind with Facebook, with broad testing, you're showing your ad to everybody, usually large hundreds of millions of people. So you have to realize with Facebook, it's going to take more time to find those pockets where people are interacting with your ad and buying from you so that it can optimize for those people. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen on the first day. It's not going to happen the second day. And I know that goes against a lot of the traditional drop shipping where we're super impatient. We need to get results now. With Facebook, that's not the case. You have to be willing to sit there and let the platform eventually find your target audience. But it will make it harder to do if you don't set this campaign up the right way. So after we do CBO, let's say it's $50 a day, we're going to scroll on down. And the next thing we're going to do, make sure obviously we select our pixel and that we do our purchase conversion event. Now, as we scroll down, when it comes to scheduling, I usually do midnight of the next day or 7 in the morning. Either one really works for me. So let's just do that. So we got 7 a.m. for the next day. And then when it comes to locations, I am no longer living in Spain. What on earth? So we're going to put in United States instead, because we live in America. Pero estoy aprendiendo español. Y yo sé un poquito palabras, uso Duolingo cada día, stuff like that. So we got our United States, and when it comes to age, I'm always going to keep it as broad as possible, so 18 to 65. Now, when it comes to gender, I really am only going to specify this if I know for a fact, okay, my product is 100% for males or females. But if it's for both, definitely leave it on all, but that would be really the only thing I would tweak around. Now, the next thing with detailed targeting, leave that completely blank. Do not touch that. And then finally, do auto placement so that Facebook can find the placement where you are getting the best return. Give it as many options as possible so that Facebook does the heavy lifting, because whenever you minimize its ability, so if you say, hey, I'm only going to do feed posts, then there's a chance your ad doesn't work really well in the feed, but when it comes to the story, it's doing really well. So I try to give it as many options as possible. And it's the same thing with interest. When you pigeonhole the Facebook algorithm, it makes it harder to find your audience. And a lot of times it might not be the right interest. So I like to keep it as broad as possible. And the only difference between the audiences I test is nothing. It's just the ad that's actually being shown to them. So I actually label my ad sets whatever ad angle that I'm trying out. So if the first angle is, let's say, a how-to ad and I have multiple variations, then I'm just going to call this how-to. Now hold on just a second, cowboy, because if you leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below, you'll be entered into a chance to win a free one-on-one call with me to audit your ad account, website, or whatever you need help with your e-commerce brand. And because not a lot of people honestly comment on my videos, there's a really high chance you can win this just by leaving leaving a simple one-word comment down below. So now that we got our ad labeled how to 1865 male, female, and then USA, the next step is the most important, and this is where you do your targeting, always with your ad creative. Because let's say, for instance, we're selling dog treats. Well, then we have to do our targeting through the creative of calling out dog lovers, calling out dog owners. So that's where you should be doing your targeting, and you can specifically call out your target audience in the hook of your ad. You can just do it through having an ad that obviously showcases your product, the benefits, and then people that obviously it applies to will interact, and then boom, Facebook's algorithm will find more and more people like that. But before you start uploading your creatives, the final thing you want to do is turn on dynamic creatives. And this lets, again, Facebook's algorithm come up with the different combinations and test them out to see which one is working the best. Now, there is definitely a limit to the amount of creatives you want to put inside of here. I would recommend doing 3 videos, 2 ad copies, and 2 headlines. In fact, I'll actually link the person that I learned this from. This is Dr. Charlie T. He's an incredible media buyer. So I'm not going to take credit for someone else's work. He recommends the 3-2-2 method. I also have been trying it out a lot recently. And sometimes I do 3 videos, 2 ad copies, 2 headlines. And then sometimes I do just 4 videos with 2 ad copies and I don't test the headline. So it's up to you to split test. I definitely like both. But right now I would say the videos, or if you're split testing images, then doing 3 images, 2 ad copies, 2 headlines is the best method. Now, before we get into the rest of the Facebook ad goodness, if you are looking for an agency to handle your media buying from testing and scaling your ads, along with creating new ads for you every single month to give you the ammunition needed to scale your brand to 6 figures a month, then I would highly recommend booking a call down below and working with my agency, Bold Media, where we specialize in delivering high quality UGC and graphic ads every single month for your brand so that you can scale while also handling all the marketing and media buying from Facebook and TikTok. So if you've hit a plateau with your brand where you're stuck at 10, 25, 50 grand a month, and you're obviously looking to scale way beyond that, then I would highly recommend booking a call down below and seeing what we can offer to help you scale. So right now I just uploaded 3 videos into this ad set, and we have to pick out which one of our videos was the how-to angle. So let's just say, for instance, this video is that one. And the reason why I don't want to select these other 2 is because I'm going to have separate ad sets where I'm testing these ads. And you might be thinking, okay, that's kind of a lot. Why not just put all of them in there? Well, the reality is I am just testing to see what angle works the best, because for any product that's out there, you're going to have very, very few selling points, most likely 3 to 5 main selling points. And you're just trying to figure out what format gets people to understand the value of my product and makes them want to buy the most. And that could be graphic style, UGC, or professional videos. And with each one of these major ad categories, they obviously have the subcategories underneath, meaning if I'm testing out UGC, there's not just one UGC style and that's all I can test. No, there's hundreds of different UGC frameworks. And the same thing with graphics. There's so many different ones. So right now I'm just testing out 3 different ad angles, and I just want to limit it to that. So for this ad set, which is going to be the how-to angle, with this video I have just right now uploaded, I want to make 2 slight variations of it, and those are going to be the 3 videos of the 3-2-2 method. So basically what I could do is with this ad, I could change out the hook, maybe add a different music choice, and then boom, we have our 2 variations and then the original video right there to make 3 videos. Now the next section is the primary text, and this section you're going to have 2 different ad copies. So the styles I'd like to do is the first one being a review that you have from the different research you did on Amazon, or if you actually got a really great review where someone raved about your product, then I would just upload that directly, copy and paste it in. And then the second style I like is doing more of a sales, direct response type of ad copy where you have your first sentence being the biggest claim, offer, headline of your product, then have 3 bullet point benefits of your product, and then a call to action to go to your website. So just to show you a quick example, Dr. Squatch does this all the time where they split test a bunch of different reviews in their ad copy. So this one right here, awesome smelling products with great ingredients, doesn't make my skin feel like it has a wax coat. Again, super easy to do, 5-star review. And then the next style I like to do again would be, what is the major headline of my product? Now, since this is an alarm clock product I'm selling, I'm just gonna write out some quick bullet point benefits. So feel a burst of energy every morning, relax after a long, stressful day. And then the final thing could be a social proof line of over 10,000 customers rave about our product. So it could be something like that, or over 10,000 5-star reviews. And then using a platform like Emoji Copy, I'm just gonna grab a little star icon just like this And we'll polish this out right here. Bada bing, bada boom. And then the final thing would just be a sentence that is somewhat of a call to action. So it could be either the major benefit of your product, so get better sleep today, and then link to your product page. Or it could be an offer like get 50% off your first order, and then directly emoji to our URL. But let's just copy one of the ad copies over from Dr. Squatch so that we have our two different ad copies just like this, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then the final headline. So headline is going to be just on Facebook, and typically what most people do is either the best benefit that's condensed to about 6 to 8 words, or your offer that you have. So I could do something like get the best sleep of your life, which I know is super generic, but we'll just put that as an example. And then the next one again could just be a quick offer. So again, 50% off your first order. And then just like that, that is exactly how I set up my ads. And then obviously you put your product page URL right here. You do the shop now button. And when it comes to UTMs, I actually do use Triple Whale a lot when it comes to looking at the proper accurate numbers, because with Facebook, you don't necessarily have to have a third-party tracking software unless you are really scaling, because in the beginning, you're not gonna have a ton of numbers, and you can kind of get a sense if your ads are profitable or not just by looking at your Shopify data and then comparing it versus Facebook, especially in the beginning levels. But once you start to scale, you have to realize Facebook is not 100% accurate. In fact, I wouldn't even say that it's 90% accurate. So you should have a tool like Hyros, Triple Whale, Cometly. There's so many different options. I personally use Triple Whale, which is expensive. It's $300 a month. But what it allows you to do is you have your own UTM link that you put at the bottom of every ad. So right here would be an example of the URL parameter. So this is our specific URL parameter for this brand right here. And you paste it at the bottom, and that way you can use the Triple Whale dashboard to track way more accurately what is the real data and returns you're getting from these different audiences and ads. So now that we have our first audience established here, what I would do is just duplicate, and I typically like to do 3 to 5 audiences inside of here. It depends on how many angles I'm trying to do. So I would recommend for beginners to do 3 audiences, and you're testing again 3 unique ad angles. So if this one was how to, then I would say the next one would be possibly a problem solution ad. And then it's the same thing where we just go in here to our dynamic creative. We would exit out of this video, and then we'd upload our new 3 videos. Again, I know right now in this setup, I have 1 video. You don't want to just have 1 video. You want to have 3. You want to have your original version of that ad angle, and then the 2 variations, which again can be a different hook. It could be a different body after the hook. It could be split testing a different call to action. You just want the ads to be slightly different, but have the same ingredients, the same base foundation to them. Now, if you are looking for some tips to create winning Facebook ads, then I would highly recommend checking out my UGC tutorial video that covers my 8 most profitable frameworks. Now, what I would recommend doing after you launch your Facebook campaign is to turn off your laptop, turn off your phone, go and download HBO Max and start binge watching Game of Thrones for the next 3 days so that you don't ever look at your Facebook ads, so that they can have the proper amount of spend, because God knows you're going to look at it and micromanage it every single day. You're going to turn off things before they had the proper amount of time. And you have to realize this is like a cake here. If you don't give it enough time to bake, it's going to taste like crap. So with your Facebook ads, you have to realize once they are launched, do not freaking touch them for the next 3 days. Let Facebook find your audience. And if the numbers are absolutely terrible and you have no purchases, sure, then only then you can turn off some things. Now, if you're wondering about those juicy metrics and what should we really care about in terms of all these different metrics, because God knows Facebook has hundreds of different things you can look at, here are the main things I prioritize. Budget, amount spent, what's my CPM like, how many impressions, how many 3-second video plays, and this is really important for understanding how good our ad is performing, because then we can see, okay, we have 1,000 impressions and 300 people have watched the first 3 seconds, therefore our hook rate is 30%, which is pretty decent. And then how many people out of those 300 actually complete the full ad? So if it's, let's say, 30 people, that's a 10% hold rate, which isn't really that good. So then we know, okay, on our ad side, looks like we can tweak that around. And basically, I just have my metrics like a funnel. So after someone watches, then they click, and then landing page views gives me a good metric to see how my speed score is. Because let's say, for instance, I have 1,000 link clicks, but only 900 people actually land on my website. That's a 90% rate, which is not that great. You only want to have a drop-off rate of about 1 to 2% max with your website. So if you're noticing a huge drop-off between those 2 metrics, then you know, okay, people are waiting a lot of time for my website to load and they're just choosing to click off, which is a big problem. And then finally, I look at the CTR, add to carts, checkouts, initiated purchases, all those different things. So save that as a preset, call it beast mode, and then you're ready to go with applying it. Now let's say it's been a couple of days and you've been a patient little good boy or girl who's waited for Santa Claus to deliver you some amazing ad results. Well, after a few days, the main ways that I look into scaling my audiences is usually first by vertically scaling. So let's say my budget is right now $50 a day in my campaign. I would consider definitely bumping that up from 50 to maybe 100 or 50 to 80 when I first start bumping things up. And I do that typically every 2 to 3 days. So if I'm noticing some great results, cool, we'll bump it up to 100 and then we see, okay, over the next 2 to 3 days, how is things performing? Because usually it will start to equal out where when you hit a certain budget, things will start to go unprofitable. So you need to find out if it's at $200 a day, $400 a day, $600, $800. It really depends, and you have to scale aggressively every couple days to find out where is that point. And then the other way of scaling is obviously through horizontal scaling, which is just creating more audiences that are already working. So let's say the how-to audience is working really well in this CBO. Well, what we could do is create more versions of that in the same campaign where we just create a few more duplicates inside, and it's getting also some of the spend from the $80 or $100 a day that we have going on. Or we could duplicate this into a new campaign just like this, and we could either do a CBO at a higher budget, so we could do a CBO at $300, $500 a day, and all the audiences inside, the 3 to 5 audiences, are the broad audience that are just seeing my how-to angle. So let's do that right here. So CBO scaling, let's try $500 a day. I'll just show you real quick what that would look like. So we click that new campaign. We're going to scroll on down to daily budget, and then that's where we do $500, just like that. And then the only audience that's going to be inside of here would be the multiple versions of that winning audience. So if the how-to audience was the winner, cool. Let's quickly duplicate a few times. Let's say we do this. And then we got our 3 audiences that are all going to be receiving their different portions of that $500 a day. But as a disclaimer, it definitely makes sense to break down your creatives to see which one obviously was performing the best so that you can only show those versions. Because when you do your creative testing, there might be a version that is performing 2 to 3x better than another version. So it doesn't make sense to have that second version that wasn't performing very well in your new scaling. You're just wasting ad spend. So how do you actually break down in a dynamic creative what is working the best? Because right here, we can only see one ad. So how does that work? So once you start spending a little bit of cheddar, this is how you're going to break down to see which video variation or image variation is working the best. So you go to breakdown, then dynamic creative element, then image, video, and slideshow. So right here, I can see the 3 videos that I uploaded and see which one would be getting the clicks, purchases, or whatever I'm really optimizing for. Now, if I want to see which headline is working the best, then I would go and then I would scroll down to headline. So just like this, I can see on this ad, I tested 2 different headlines, double your profit. In fact, this is for my ad agency, and I could see, okay, this is the headline that's working the best, and it's the exact same thing for the text as well. So that's exactly how I test and start to scale with Facebook ads. So if you are looking for more great tips on how to scale, especially by making winning creatives, then I would highly recommend checking this video right above that covers my favorite frameworks for scaling and making great UGC content.